Man, what a title on this podcast.
I know.
Hopefully we didn't scare you away. But
Well, you're here listening now, so we didn't scare you away. So
it's
welcome.
okay. Whatever you're going through, it's going to be okay. Just zone out, listen to us yap at you for half an hour or so.
And they're like, we do that every week. We're used to it.
Speaking of which, wait, I'll pick this up on the other side of the intro music.
Okay.
Welcome to the Let's Quit podcast.
Quitting is not always a bad thing.
If you have the right mindset, quitting can be the most powerful tool you have on your journey to success. It's certainly been helpful for us.
Whether it's flying through hurricanes, building our businesses, or just trying to get to bed on time, we're always trying to level up and improve our lives.
This is the show where we share the lessons, experiences, and friends that have helped us live this incredible life. So let's quit the bad and grow the good together. All right, what's up? We got lots of new listeners this week. I think we mentioned the podcast for the second time ever on YouTube. We saw a huge spike in the numbers. We should do that more often. But
yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like the podcast being the secret thing. I don't know. The podcast is more for us to like brain dump the week and process. I mean, like we try to make the podcast helpful, but at the same time, like I kind of like it being a little quieter.
The dirty behind the scenes, like we're literally just brain dumping everything that happened. Yeah. It's not polished like a YouTube video. It's not super clickbaity like a YouTube video. It is just, like, today's very clearly is. But
no, it's not though. It's on topic though. It's not clickbait. So
it's just very intense.
Well, before we get to that, why don't we update everybody on our week?
Yes.
So, what did you do this week, Jenny?
Oh my gosh, it has been a very busy week. First off, what did we do first? I've just lost track of like the order that things went in. So I'm just going to start. So we saw some more commercial spaces, which was awesome. I think we saw like one or two more.
Yep.
It was very last minute. It was like we were just driving around. It's like after church or something, and somebody was like, "Hey, they can meet you at like 2 p.m. Go tour this place." And we're like, "Okay." So yeah, we're seeing a couple more buildings. I think we're to the point where all of them, or at least a lot of them, are starting to look the same. They're the same thing, especially the newer ones. They're newer construction. They're all about the same size. They look the same. They're about the same price. So I think we've kind of seen what we're going to see when it comes to those style of buildings.
Right. Well, I mean, it gets to a certain point. You know this if you ever bought a house. Like, it gets to a certain point. You've narrowed down your needs and your wants, and everything starts to look the same. Mm-hmm. That's when you just need to pull the trigger, make a decision, and move forward.
Yes.
So
we are definitely in the waiting on some more information and going to pull the trigger very shortly, I think.
Yeah, we're super excited. We're just bubbling with ideas. Like, man, it would be so great. Can I just give a side rant? Clay, if you're listening to this, this is for you. But like, man, I am so excited to move into the space because we have got a lot of extra cash to blow by the end of the year. Otherwise, Uncle Sam is going to take a healthy chunk out of it.
Yes.
But that's how a business works. If you don't know, businesses get taxed on profit. So if you have no profit or very little profit, Uncle Sam takes very little taxes. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't have an emergency fund. You shouldn't blah, 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 do all the nice, responsible things.
Don't blow it all and go to $0 at the end of the year.
But if you're gonna spend the money in January, if the end of your business year is like the end of the calendar year, if you're going to spend the money in January or February, you might as well spend it in December because you're going to get taxed out the nose for carrying the money over to the next year. Now, talk to a CPA, talk to a professional. Like, there's probably loopholes and ways around this, but just, common principle is like, if you're going to spend the money, you need to spend it in the current tax year so that you can minimize how much tax money you pay. Not that we're against paying taxes and blah blah blah, but
honestly, if I can spend the extra like $3,000 on myself instead of having it
well, that's the thing, is like, we're
taxes,
still a small business, like we're making very little money relative to what a business can produce or what our businesses can produce in the future, and like I don't want to lose 30 to 40% of that just to pay taxes when I could put that 30 to 40% back in the business. And the government understands that. That's why the rules are written the way that they are, is that you put all the money back in the businesses to grow the economy, to hire people, to buy things from other businesses. I mean, it's set up that way for a reason. And if you're trying to keep the profit stashed away, Uncle Sam's going to come knocking and ask for his cut. Yeah. So anyway, That was a way deeper rant than I intended it for it to be. But I say all that to say, I hope that we can get into the commercial space soon so we can blow all this cash, make it rain, and not have to pay taxes. Merca.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's been fun, touring different spaces, getting closer to making a decision. Yeah, and you've been working on the shop layout a little bit.
Yeah, so we're getting to the point now where we're looking at these commercial spaces. They're all starting to look the same. And we have a YouTube video on this if you haven't seen it. But like, we laid out some of our requirements of what we wanted. But we're getting to the point where we really need to have a more concrete plan of exactly what we need. What size rooms do we want? How, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the layout of it. Like, it can't just be conceptually like, oh yeah, this will go here, that'll go here. I need 3 offices. Like, no, you need to have it drawn out to the square foot of what it is you want. So I've been working in SketchUp. I've been trying to I've been trying to find out so eventually we need to negotiate up front for the power requirements and stuff. I got to be careful with how much I say, but like, we got to make sure that the electricity in the building is prepared for us to grow. And a couple places that we've seen, the electricity is just not up to where we need it to be long term. If we're going to have giant 3-phase pieces of equipment in the shop over there, multiple of them running at the same time, I got more research to do, but it looks like we need 200 amps of 3-phase power, and a couple of the places we've seen just have a very small 3-phase transformer or box that's only like 20 to 25 amps.
Kind of like they did kind of the minimum to check the box to say, yeah, we have 3-phase power.
Correct. Because nobody will look at a place cause that's the thing. Is like, that's the ting. I don't know why I tripped over that. But getting 3-phase power to the building is the expensive part. If they need to swap out the transformer or provide more amperage, I think it's relatively simple. They just need a different box on the back of the building. Again, I got more research to do.
Yeah.
I've probably figured it out by the time you're hearing this. So, but yeah, if any master electricians out there know exactly what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about weekend warrior electricians. Like, anybody who's certified knows what you're talking about. Let us know. Send us an email.
Yeah.
jennieanddavis@gmail.com. But yeah.
So there was that. So that's a whole bunch of like commercial space updates. But as for like business updates, what else did we do this week? I think
you sold a lot of boards recently.
Yeah, we sold a lot of boards this month. And the month's not even over, actually. I think we did like 72 boards so far. So in 3 weeks, we've sold 72 boards to realtors, mortgage brokers, random people, just stuff like that.
We're ramping up. It almost, like, I forget sometimes that we're not a cutting board business.
I know.
Like, cutting boards are just our marketing tool so that we can sell our kitchen tables and get brand awareness out in Houston. It's just kind of funny that we're selling so many boards and we get wrapped up in the cutting boards that, like, we lose sight of what's on the horizon. And then we also sold a kitchen table to some friends of ours that live in Houston, and like, I just forget that that's the main goal.
Business.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Because
so
it's silly.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of boards. We're going to start designing
we got our new shipping station. I don't know if that's in the YouTube video yesterday, but we got a new, so we've been using card tables from Walmart. That's been the backbone of our businesses, or just like, that's how this desk started. I can't talk today. That's how this desk started in this office, was just a couple of plastic card tables. There's a card table in the closet right here,
like,
behind
as
Jennie.
We speak. Yes, there's the Glowforge sits on a plastic card table, and our entire fulfillment station was a plastic card table until we got a big, nice fulfillment station from Uline.
So I've had this earmarked in the Uline catalog for quite a while. If you've bought anything from Uline, you know they send you a catalog like every 2 weeks.
It's like 2 inches thick.
Yeah, it's like a big Sears catalog. So if you don't know, Uline is like the industrial Amazon. But all of the products are super vetted and super high quality.
Yeah.
Just about everything in the catalog is used and depended on in bigger industries. They follow a lot of like OSHA approvals and like basically everything you buy from there. It's expensive, but it's already proven to work. And if you're building a business, right, you don't necessarily want a bunch of custom, super personalized tools and stuff. You want industrial Lego, as AVE says. You want to be able to plug things in and out easily, so your processes aren't that complicated. So I've had earmarked in this catalog for a very long time a very nice, like 6 foot long table that's like the table itself weighs like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And it can hold, I think, a couple thousand pounds. It's
Yeah,
very stout.
It's got racks that go up vertically that can hold things. Like we have our roll of freezer paper hanging from it. So all we have to do is pull the paper out and rip it. And there's lots of different like baskets that can hang off of the
There's dividers
rods
underneath so you can hold a ton of weight. I mean, like all of our charcuterie board inventory is on those shelves on the bottom. Very, very, very stout table. And then it's got a nice clean work surface up top that we can pack boxes, weigh out crinkle paper, finish boards and stuff like that. So it's been really nice.
It goes a lot more smoothly now.
Yeah, we were going to wait till the commercial space to get it, but I just got so sick. What happened was we tripped over the freezer paper roller. It's this big 3-foot long metal roll. It weighs like 50 pounds and it sits in the middle of the floor.
Oh, and you stub your toe on it, like trying to go behind the couch, and it's like we stubbed our toe one too many times, and we're like, that's it.
Yeah, so
it's time.
It was, we just ordered it. We had the money. We might as well spend, like I said, we might as well spend it.
Right.
And I'm excited because it's going to be really nice to just plop that thing down in the new commercial space.
Yeah.
Already have it run and optimized. So I can't wait till we get to the commercial space and everything is just going to go so much faster because we have room to walk around.
Yes. We're not like making 3 laps around whatever space we're in just to do one simple job.
Right. And that's where I would say 30 to 50% of our time right now is spent traveling from one side of the house or the shop to the other to do another task. And when we have enough room to line everything up, get a separate table for everything and just go from one end to the other on an assembly line or, just turn around. I don't know how it's going to lay out, but like it's going to go so much faster.
There's going to be a set place to put everything because even now it's frustrating because I don't have a set place to like put boards that are in boxes that just haven't been taped shut yet. So I'm lining them up like on the counter, on the pile of cutting boards, on the couch.
Yeah, perfect example. We have cutting boards and charcuterie boards next to the fulfillment table, but they're on a cart, they're under the table, like when you need to go grab a board, it's not like you just take one step to the left. There's a set of shelves and you pull off the board you need. It's like you got to go hunting for it. Oh, did I put it under the table? Is it on the cart over here? Is it behind? Oh, I already had one finished over here. Where's that one? Like it's very scattered. And that's a lack of organization on our part, but also a lack of square footage.
Right, to have a set place for everything.
Right.
A place for everything and everything in its place. That's what I'm looking forward to in the commercial space.
So that's been fun.
Yes.
Again, just more shop layout stuff.
Yeah.
This is our YouTube video yesterday. You taught Instagram to a bunch of real estate agents.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit in the last podcast.
We did, but we got a lot of new listeners.
So this last week I did a little mini like Instagram class for one of our realty agents. Actually, she has her own like company, and they've bought like probably over 50 boards from us. And so we talk to them a lot. We have a really good relationship. We'll just stop by in the office sometimes to say hi. Like it's that kind of relationship.
Very friendly.
Very friendly. They're very nice. Anyways, I was on the phone with her one day because she was ordering her next batch of boards, and she's like, "Oh, I watch all of your Instagram videos." So my Instagram reels she's talking about.
Yeah.
And she's like, they're so cute and fun. I love them. I wish we knew how to do that. And I just said, I'll come teach you. And I think she thought I was like joking or just saying it, but wouldn't actually back it up. And I was like, no, I'm serious. I'll come teach you how to make these videos if that's, what you guys want. And then sure enough, 2 weeks later, I get a text and she's like, hey, can you come Tuesday at 9 a.m.? And I'm like, heck yeah. So I put together a little curriculum on how to use Instagram, how to get the most like growth, what gets most eyeballs, like reels and stories get more eyeballs over just your feed posts and just all sorts of stuff. And there was a very beginner level of understanding of Instagram as a whole.
Which is so crazy to me. Like we think Instagram is outdated. It's oversaturated. We're about to move all of our focus onto TikTok, not even Instagram anymore. Yeah. Because, you're trying to build a business for 10 years in the future. And 10 years from now, TikTok's is going to be Instagram.
Yeah.
Right. So but we think, oh my gosh, Instagram is so outdated. It's so old. It's already saturated. But man, half these realtors, one of the biggest realty teams in Houston, half of them in the office didn't even have Instagram on their phone.
Right.
And I'm like, holy snot. We already think it's too saturated. How early are we? So I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't sleep on Instagram, but we only got so many hours a week.
I don't sleep on it, but if I'm going to put my best hours towards something, it's going to be TikTok.
Right.
Over Instagram. But anyways, that was a good class. And basically our video that came out was saying hey, why would we not charge for something like that? Because what I did is a service that people would charge like over $1,000 to do.
Yeah.
And so my thing was like, I'm just providing value. If they bought over 50 boards from us, and those aren't the last 50 boards they're going to buy from us. Like, think about how much money that is. And if I can do a quick little like 35-minute talk on Instagram in their office on a Tuesday morning, and that makes them happy and that keeps them with us, keeps them loyal. Yeah. You've always got to appear like you're providing value.
Right. Yeah.
So that was good. And then we already had a video come out on this, but we did the pop-up store too.
Yeah, we did that. I guess that technically gets wrapped up into this podcast.
Yeah.
Man,
that's technically falls into this podcast too.
Pop-up store.
Yeah.
Talk
so we
about
had a pop-up store at a little coffee shop. Basically, I found these guys on Instagram, and I was like, oh, they're in a good part of town. They're in kind of the richer, wealthier part of Houston. And then I saw another Instagram post where they tagged like a pastry chef, and she was going to do a pop-up and sell some of her pastries there. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I've never really heard of a pop-up shop before, but I like the concept. And I was like, why can't that be us? And so I talked with the owners for a little while. Turns out the owners actually are really cool people. And they're like, yeah, sure, come on in. So we brought some of our boards and didn't end up selling a whole lot, but that's okay because it wasn't the goal. Our goal was to meet people and big clients in this like upscale part of Houston. And
get a portable like display setup ready to go. And that went off without a hitch. I told Jennie, as soon as we set up the table, got the Glowforge done, and we rearranged some stuff on the table because it just wasn't working at the beginning. Like, once we got that dialed in, I looked at Jennie and I was like, all right, today's a win. Like, I don't care if we sell anything. Because in the first 10 minutes, like, today's a win. We set everything up. Nothing got broken. Like, I don't feel like we forgot anything.
I feel like if you haven't seen the video, basically what we did is we transported our entire Glowforge laser engraver from our house to the coffee shop, got it connected to the Wi-Fi, brought in all our own boards, all of our own packaging. On
a plastic card table from Walmart.
Two plastic card tables from Walmart.
Because that's how we start everything.
So essentially, we transported our entire engraving and fulfillment station in the house to a coffee shop. And we did it in under like an hour and a half. It took like 45 minutes to drive there.
We could
and 30
totally
minutes
do
to
it
set up.
faster. Yeah, in the future, we could do it faster.
We could do it much faster.
So, yeah, that was exciting. I was just shocked at like how easy everything was.
Yeah.
Like, I'm probably cursing myself for the future, but like, just that's one of the nice things about having. I know people love to hate the Glowforge.
Yeah.
But man, does it just work? It's like an Apple product.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. It's overpriced if you believe in that sort of witchcraft. But like, it just works.
Right.
It just works. Is it the nicest, fastest, brightest laser out there? No. But it will do a pop-up store.
It's
in 20
simple
minutes
and fast, and it does what it's supposed to do
without having to learn all the ins and outs of a laser.
Yes.
Like, man, it's just crazy. Like, do you want to spend your time playing laser, or do you want to spend your time selling and making money?
Playing business.
Yeah. Do you want to play businessman, or do you want to play laser repairman?
Yeah.
Those are basic, or repairman woman.
Yes.
Either one you want to do, that's what you're choosing. If you go with one of these Chinese lasers, yeah, you're going to get more laser for the money, but you're also going to get more problems, harder to find replacement parts for, less customer support. Yeah. Anyway, did not mean to go on a laser rant, but if you're considering a laser, get a Glowforge.
We highly recommend the Glowforge.
Because if a Glowforge sized machine, if you're able to make that profitable, you need to be buying a $20,000 to $30,000 laser.
Yep.
That's just the logical next step.
Right, because what we're not saying is we don't plan to stay with the Glowforge forever.
No,
we're definitely going to upgrade ourselves, and we're going to learn more complex like softwares for the engraving and the graphics and everything.
But if you're buying a laser for a business, I would even say for a CNC to some extent. I know it's a little bit of a different animal, but like laser specifically, if you're going to plug a laser into your business and try to make money, start with a Glowforge. If you don't know anything about lasers, start with a Glowforge, because that's going to give you the best return on your time to make it profitable. And if you can make a Glowforge profitable, when you make a $20,000 laser purchase and you get all your stuff dialed in there, man, you can go 20 to 30 times faster with a bigger laser.
Yes.
So, yeah, Maybe 20 to 30 times is an exaggeration, but
You'll get more money, more good.
right, because you should focus on the ins and outs of the cash flow, not playing laser repair woman.
Yes, exactly.
So that's our philosophy on that. Fight me.
Fight me. We're going to get nasty letters.
Yeah.
Just kidding. All right. Yeah.
Cool.
So I think anything else this week? I think that was, I mean, there's other small things because we've just had such a busy week. But
this is another cleanup week. We've done a lot of cleaning up on our systems and procedures so that we can not think about them again. Like everything, it's like pasta boiling over. Like if you're cooking and you're making 3 or 4 things, it's like every 3 to 5 minutes, hey, your pasta's going to boil over. So you got to take the lid off. You got to let it steam and cool, turn the heat down, then put the lid back on. Then you can ignore it for a little while. That was this week of just all the little administrative things. The pasta was boiling over in our business. So we had to take the lid off, stir it a little bit, and then put the lid back on. And then now we've got another 6 to 8 weeks that we can just execute without having to worry about the pasta on the back burner.
Right.
So... Yeah. That's really all running a business is.
it's just putting out fires.
Right.
And not just maintaining the fires. Because I feel like there's going to be a base level of like flame at any given point, but it flares up at different points.
Yep. I'm pretty sure there's a picture of a fire if you look up business in an encyclopedia. Does that saying even work anymore?
What?
Like, oh, I bet there's a picture of her next to ugly in the dictionary. It's like nobody uses dictionaries or encyclopedias anymore.
Right. So all those jokes are just like, don't even work anymore.
We're really dating ourselves. Did you ever use an encyclopedia in school?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had computers and stuff, but like we still had the big world book with the big sunset.
Yep. And you'd have the different volumes, and then you'd have to look up whatever you were researching in all 3 different volumes because they might have changed something or updated it, or there's new information.
Well, now like in the world of Wikipedia and like just the internet in general, like, man, I can't imagine only reading a little paragraph about a new topic in an encyclopedia. Like, I get that paragraph was so full of information, like when you had no internet. But now with the internet, looking back in an encyclopedia, saying like, "Oh my gosh,
that's
how little!" That's all the information they had.
Because now we read pages and pages off of like 18 different websites.
Well, I fell down a Wikipedia rabbit hole the other day of like, I had a friend, and this is a very long story. I had a friend who's no longer with us that wrote an a Wikipedia entry for this like creek or whatever that ran south of my hometown. And they found, and I was like, I wonder what that page looks like now. I wonder if anybody's fleshed it out or like added to it. And what I found out was that they had connected that to a larger resource where they had found like woolly mammoth remains and all sorts of, like, I was finding all this stuff out about my little hometown creek that just ran south of town, and found out all this stuff. And it was started by my friend in middle school because he was bored.
Wow.
So it's just crazy to like connect, like that little creek would not have even had an entry in the encyclopedia, but because we can store much more information on the worldwide computer network
than in a book.
Anyway, all I meant to say was I'm dating myself with that little joke I made 3 minutes ago.
Anyways.
So.
We'll bring it back.
I feel like we've exhausted our week.
Yes.
If we're going to that length to make a conversation.
I know.
Man. Okay. Title topic. Let's go.
Yes. Let's switch and actually talk about what we want to talk about.
All right. I'm going to hit you with the quote this week.
Oh.
And you'll find out why here in just a second. So the quote for this week is, "Not everybody hates you, you idiot. It's just you." And that is by Jennie, sitting next to me. Not Jennie from the block. Not to be confused.
No, not to be confused with Jennie from the block.
Man, we are dating ourselves in this podcast.
I know.
Jeez.
Anyways, basically, this is just something we were typing up some stuff to talk about on this podcast and basically just organizing our thoughts. And I like hit this moment of like, what do you call it when you, I had an epiphany, and I just put it into such in-depth and classy wording. And I just said, "Not everybody hates you, you idiot. It's just you." And we're like, let's just make that the quote.
Yeah. So,
pretty much sums it up.
So what, blah, blah, blah. Man, I am just on a roll today.
Man.
Let's Quit Podcast, episode 45. Quit hating yourself. What do you mean by that, Jennie?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I guess I'll describe it by more of like a story.
Tell me a story.
I'll tell you a story. So, I do all of like the sales and marketing stuff for our woodworking business, our furniture business. And I always think people hate me when I make sales calls. Like every time I pick up the phone, I'm like, surely they can't stand me. I'm nervous to dial. I'm nervous when they answer because I'm so nervous that I forget what I'm calling about. You know, I'll have this like nice script written up, or I'll think of like the most eloquent, amazing, convincing thing to say before I pick up the phone. But then it's like, whoosh, it's all gone. Leaves my brain when they pick up the phone.
So
I'm nervous.
what are you like nervous of? What do you think they're gonna say on the phone? Is that what you're scared of, or do you just think they're gonna hate? Like, is it just their internal hatred towards you that you're nervous about?
See, and I don't know if it's that. I think I'm like terrible at sales. Like literally, I think I'm like the worst salesperson ever. So I'm afraid that I'm not going to say the right words to convince them to like buy my product. I'm afraid that they're going to like realize that I'm not saying the right words. They're going to be confused by what I'm saying. Then they're not going to want to buy, or they're just going to be so annoyed by me. Like I'd be annoyed by me. I wouldn't want a salesperson calling me. And so I'm like, by default, that must mean that they don't want me calling them, and like they don't like me. You know what I mean? And a lot of that is so I project that like onto the realtors and onto the clients I call. Just because I would not like to have me call me, I say, well, therefore that means the realtors don't want me to call them. They're annoyed by me. They hate me. And it's basically just justifying my own thoughts about myself. I expect them to hate me when in reality, this is the crazy part. They often thank me for calling them. They're like, oh, so thank you so much for sending me thank you so much for sending me this board. Thanks for following up with me. Thanks for continuing to call me and like leave me voicemails and staying on top of me.
Wait, so you're scared of these people like
that end up liking me?
But you sent them something for free and you're scared that they're going to hate you?
Dude, yes. That's why we're making a podcast on how ridiculous this is and that we need to quit doing this because it is silly. It's unnecessary. And it's all just grounded in self-doubt. And there's a really easy switch we can make to fix it, which we'll talk about at the end. That comes in the action steps. But it was basically my own self-doubt is sabotaging my ability to improve.
Huh.
It's like I'm creating my own reality that I'm scared happening. Like I'm scared that they're going to hate me. I'm scared that they're not going to think I'm good enough.
So you do poor sales.
So I do poor sales.
And then they hate you because you're a bad salesperson.
It's a feedback loop.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that scary?
Right. But like, if you look at the numbers though, like you're making money. Like,
I know.
Jennie, if you saw your own like sales report at the end of the like quarter or whatever, and your name wasn't on it, and you read like, oh, this person sold this many tens of $1,000s of boards, and like they got this many connections, and then they did a pop-up store and blah, 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 blah. Like we would hire that person in a minute.
I know.
So why do you feel like, you know, like reality is not mapping with the fact that you believe that you are the worst salesperson ever?
Right. And isn't that the crazy part? That like I think this, like in my head, I feel like it's so real. It is very clear and it's very real that I'm the worst salesperson ever. But reality doesn't map that. So you have to like believe what is actually playing out in reality, which is that
not
I'm
even that, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But like, yeah, it's just crazy that you're like, this is going to be one of our next clickbait thumbnail or whatever. Like Jennie has sold $25,000 this month, like gross. Like you can't sit there and tell me that you were running two businesses out of a 700 square foot of part of the house and you made $25,000 and you sit there and say you're a bad salesperson. Like what? It just, I don't believe it.
I know.
It's just crazy.
And I shouldn't believe it. Like,
but you do.
But I do.
And we know that other people deal with this because we get messages all the time of people like we get DMs all the time of people like, oh, how much should I price this cutting board, or how should I price my work? I built this, and they send us some pictures of some really beautiful furniture, and then I tell them, I'm like, yo, did you use our formula? And they're like, yeah, but like that's over $1,000. And I'm like, dude, this is an 8-person kitchen table with benches. And you're not even trying to charge $1,000. So we know a lot of people deal with this. Yeah. We know a lot of you deal with this, especially listeners to the podcast, because y'all are pretty vocal and like this is a more intimate like form of thing. So we wanted to give you tools to like help you out. So this is not something that we have never dealt with. Jennie deals with this day in and day out. I dealt with this sort of a backwards way, which we might talk about at some point, but like Anyway, we understand that this is a problem for a lot of people, and we wanted to offer this podcast as a solution to, I don't know, maybe give you some tools to help with that. So we're going to unpack a little more about Jennie's journey as a salesman woman. Sounds different than it actually is, but so you say that you're the worst salesperson ever. Let's unpack that. What do you mean when you say you're the worst salesperson ever? Why do you believe that?
I think a lot of it is because I'm naturally not like a salesperson. I feel like my personality type is very like, I don't want to tell people what to do, or I don't want to control them or put them through like my sales process and ask them for money. I don't want to play, like I naturally don't want to play the mind games on people. Like, well, if I say this, that puts the control in their head, and then they'll say no, and then I'll say yes. My brain does not naturally think that way. I want to be like. You just feel
guilty for doing that?
I do. I kind of do naturally. Like, I just want to be nice to everybody. Why can't we be friends? Like, I like you, you like me. We never do anything to upset each other or like play each other. I don't know how to describe it, but for example, like you're a little more sales minded than me, and oh my gosh, my brother is way more sales minded than me. He thinks that way. Like, what are people going to want to buy? How can I say it in such a way that they're going to like instantly want to buy from me? Let's be strategic. And so I kind of think by my personality type that I'm already at a disadvantage, which is so not true, because you can learn to be good at anything you want. But
yeah, well, I guess part of this is so confusing to me is because, like, you believe in our product, right?
Yes.
Like, you actually believe that our cutting and charcuterie boards help these real estate agents get more referrals. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not trying to steal money out of each commission that they get. We are trying to get them more commissions.
Right.
And you believe that the product works. Mm-hmm. So why do you feel like you're being a lying used car salesman about a product you believe in?
That's exactly it, because the image of salespeople is built up to be like the used car salesman. So anytime you say sales...
So you just don't believe that the realtors think that your product works?
I don't think
you think you're going to be written off as a sleazy salesperson before you even get a chance to show them that the product works. Correct.
Because we have this thing built up that salespeople are bad, salespeople are annoying. Why won't this telemarketer stop calling me? I think that because... even though the product will benefit them and it's going to make them more money, because I'm trying to get them to buy something before that happens, I'm scared that they immediately write me off, because all of a sudden I'm like every bad salesperson they've ever talked to, because not every salesperson wants to help you or help you make more money. They literally just want to take your money.
Right.
And so you're
afraid of being judged before you even get a chance
to put in that box before I'm even allowed to say I'm different.
Right. Which I think mailing them a free board would already exempt you from being a sleazy salesperson.
Which is exactly why we do it, right?
So you got all these like delusional thoughts of self-doubt and everything. Why do you still pick up the phone and call anyway? Like you very clearly, like, I love you. I love you so much. But you are the last person I would ever say would be a good salesperson.
Yeah.
Like, before getting practice, I'd be like, maybe give her some other responsibility.
That's what I'm saying.
But like, so why have you taken it upon yourself to be the salesman woman for the business anyway?
Because the stakes are kind of high right now. Like, we're moving into a commercial space. We want to build these big businesses. Like, we've got to do something. Like, I've got to act and make money. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do any of this or accomplish our goals or dreams. And that just requires me to do something that I don't enjoy and get good at something that I don't think I'm naturally good at.
So you're more excited about the benefits if you do it well than you are the fear of doing it wrong.
Correct.
Okay.
I would rather like have a massive business in 5 years from now and 10 years from now than I would rather not pick up a phone and call people. And it's also a numbers game. Like,
guys, this is why you need to have goals. We'll come back to your numbers game in a minute. But like, this is why it's so important. This is why we preach goals all the time. If you are not consistently chasing something very clear, the more you can visualize your goal, the better. The reason you're going to do the thing that's uncomfortable, that you're going to grow, that you're going to learn, that you're going to pull yourself through the terrible parts of running a business or changing your lifestyle or getting a different job, is because you are laser focused on that goal on the horizon. And if you don't have a goal, if you're just sort of aimless and you just like the idea of being a business owner, you just like the idea of having a different job, you're never going to come through on the other side when it gets tough, when you have to make a sacrifice. And so that's why we've been preaching goals, is because Jennie is showing what that looks like. Anyway, so talk about the numbers game now. And
so this is another way my brain like justifies why I need to pick up the phone anyways. And it's kind of nerdy, but that's okay because I am a nerd. We've said that before. I think in terms of numbers and like the statistics. So I think, okay, if I don't pick up this phone, I am guaranteed 100% of the time to make $0. Exactly $0 every single time I don't pick up the phone. But if I pick up the phone, even if I'm like the worst salesperson ever, like 1 out of 100 times, I'm going to make a sale. And statistically, that's more money than if I didn't pick up the phone.
So it's a guaranteed $0 if you don't call. But there's a possibility, as small as it might be, there's still a possibility to make money if you pick up the phone and call anyway.
And my brain respects logic. I can get on board with numbers and logic and statistics. And so
even if you don't like it.
Even if I don't like it, my brain can get on board with the numbers every time. So I have to follow where the numbers
except
go.
when it's your performance report for the last month and you still call yourself a terrible salesperson.
Well, we're addressing the delusions that we have to quit believing because they don't logically make sense.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so speaking of delusions, you said that you project that self-doubt onto the realtors and on the other salespeople. Can you talk about like what does that look like? I unpack that.
So I don't want to look at myself in the mirror and say like, you're the worst. Like, you suck at sales. You will make $0. You're nervous. Nobody wants to buy from you, because that's harsh, right? But so what I'll do instead is I'll project it on the people around me. And I'm like, well, they think I'm the worst like salesperson ever.
So are you conscious of that in the moment? Are you conscious of that in the moment, or is that just your default?
No, it just happens.
Okay, so like you just blame other people for your own thoughts of self-doubt to justify your own thoughts of self-doubt.
Right.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Welcome to my TED Talk. No, I'm just kidding.
That's so opposite of the way my brain is wired. My brain's wired. Like, maybe we'll do a podcast on this another time, but like my brain's wired the opposite. I think I am the bee's knees.
We're dating ourselves again.
What does that mean?
The bee's knees. That's such an old saying.
Well, I sort of meant that one with some irony.
Yes.
But like I think I am the coolest guy around, and I just wish everybody else would see it. So I constantly need to be humbled. I need to tell myself in the mirror that you're the worst to bring myself down a few notches.
And that's why we work so well together.
Opposites
we're
attract.
Basically opposites.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what attracted us to each other when we started dating. Was like I loved how self-sacrificing you were to help other people, and I guess you were attracted to my confidence,
right?
And bravado and awesomeness.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, that works. That's kind of funny that it like worked its way out that way. But it's just cool to hear that like there's people different from you and from me. Like we all are born with this assumption that everybody is like us, and it's just interesting to hear the stories and issues and problems of people that are not like us. So
correct.
Anyway, thanks for sharing your perspective. I guess that's all I'm trying to say. So, So. Oh man, so we've sort of beat this horse a little bit to death, but I want to put it in more clear terms. Like your self-doubt about yourself. When you doubt yourself, you do it worse. Whatever it is, you perform worse. If you're feeling bad about yourself, like you're not gonna perform as well.
It's a feedback loop. It's a negative. It's a
it's positive feedback.
Negative. It is a positive feedback loop of negative thoughts about yourself.
Correct.
So basically, if you think you suck, like you're gonna live that out. That's gonna display itself in reality, and you're not gonna do well.
Right.
You will suck.
And we've already talked about that your self-doubt is delusional. Mm-hmm. Right. So here's like the climax of this whole like lesson here. Like. You have a positive feedback loop of negativity, and the more you doubt yourself, the worse you're going to perform. So let's look at it this way. You've sold $25,000 this month thinking you're a terrible salesperson. Mm-hmm. How much more could you have sold if you swapped that one delusional belief that's negative about yourself, and you swapped it for a delusional belief that you're the best salesperson ever and had tons of confidence.
Yeah.
How much more money then could you make?
Exactly.
I mean, you're already like that's the irony of the solution. Like you're already doing it. You're already believing something false about yourself. It's just not serving you.
Right. Why don't you believe something that you think is delusional but serves you?
Right. That's why you see all these clowns. I almost said a bad word there. That's why you see all these clowns on social media of these like cheesy salespeople who do sell terrible, ugly, like broken down used cars for thousands and thousands of dollars. It's because they believe they're the best salesperson ever. They're wild a little bit more like me, which is red flag for me to look out for. But like they believe they're better, so they are doing more with less because of that positive view of themselves. So if any of you are struggling with self-doubt, like I'm here to tell you, we've been preaching this on YouTube for a long time. Your stuff is good enough. Stop worrying about the quality of your work. Start worrying about the quality of your self-confidence.
Right, of your mindset.
Because that is going to bring you way more sales than, oh, well, if I can just make my hand-cut dovetails a little bit tighter than that, then I'll be able to charge an extra $1,000. No, you won't. No, you won't. You'll do a better dovetail, and then you'll say, well, nobody wants to buy dovetails.
Yeah.
Well,
and then
you haven't
won't
tried selling it. Right. So
exactly.
It's more of a sales and self-confidence issue than it is a work quality issue. I got in a little spat with some YouTube commenters, as we do.
As one does.
Somebody was talking about like that we're charging way too a high price or whatever for our cutting boards, and they're like, at your price point, it needs to be the highest quality cutting board in the entire world, and blah blah blah. And I was like, think about what you just said for a second. Like, compare that to Ford Motor Company. How do they sell the Ford Raptor at $65,000 to guys who never leave the pavement?
Yeah.
Like, if you're never going to leave the pavement, the best quality car for you is probably a Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
Just being honest. If you never leave the pavement, you do not need a Ford Raptor that's got all these off-road and suspension and lift kits and a giant engine and all that. But like, they sell it because Ford has confidence in their product, and they have confidence in their marketing, and they project that, and they grab the dreams and the fears of the people who are going to buy it, and they steal an extra $40,000 from them.
Yeah.
Like, again, that's a very negative way to look at it, but like, it's the confidence in your product.
Yes.
It has nothing or very little to do with the quality or the practicality of it. Not that those things aren't important.
They are, but they're just not. They're not so important that you're losing $30,000 over it.
Correct. When you're talking about price and you're talking about a business, or you're talking about actually making a difference in your life, you got to be very practical and grounded in what's working and what's not. And your self-confidence has so much more to do with your success than like physically what you're doing in that moment.
Yeah.
So spend your time, effort, and energy. Bottom line, spend your time, effort, and energy building your confidence, believing positive delusions about yourself instead of negative ones, and you can move forward from there. So, Jennie, I'm going to hit your dings. Okay. Tell them the action steps for this week. You've been jiving along. You agree with what Jennie's been saying. You feel similar to her in your situation. How do I pull myself out of that positive feedback loop of negativity? Step one.
First action step. You are going to ask a trusted friend to tell you what they think your strengths are. Not a super close friend, because I feel like they're going to be like...
They're just going to lie to you.
Yeah. Like, oh, no, what are you talking about? You're super great.
You're great
amazing.
at everything.
And I think this, to a certain extent, I think this comes with family, too. I feel like family will be the same way. Like, hey, Mom, am I the worst ever? No, sweetie, you're amazing. You're the best ever. So, be careful who you're asking. But a very trusted friend who will be honest with you.
Not even like a trusted friend, but like someone who's objective.
Yes.
Somebody who can look at you, who knows you enough to know you, but doesn't know you so intimately that they're going to like fill you full of smoke.
Yeah.
Again, I'm almost saying bad words here. Just all my military terminology is coming back in my head. And I'm like, how can I polish this a little better? So how can make sure it's somebody that is willing to tell you the truth? I guess that's just it. Like somebody who doesn't feel like the world is going to end if they tell you the wrong thing.
Because then you're going to get accurate information. It's like, what are my strengths? And like,
believe them. If somebody like our brains are weird. We think we're bad at the things we're good at. I mean, that's why we've worked so hard to get better at it, is because we feel obligated, because we feel, I'm never good enough. I'm never good enough in that area. I'm never good enough in that area. But when you compare yourself to 1,000 other clowns, like you are the number one clown. You got the reddest, squishiest, squeakiest nose of any other clown out there. So if somebody tells you hey man, you're really good at organizing and keeping track of stuff, your brain's going to say like, oh no, I'm not. I'm terrible. I could always get better. Like, hey, maybe don't do any more organizing. Maybe let's not clean the shop. Let's not rearrange the tools again.
But when they tell you, hey, I think you could get better at, talking with people or communication, like take that one to heart and improve that.
Right. Go have random literally, like this is what I had to do. I was really poor at communication. And again, you're going to think you're really good at what the people are telling you you're really bad at.
Yeah.
I thought I was great at communication. And this is me. I was the kid that was like crying at the restaurant when my mom made me order my own food when I was like 6 years old. Like it was just traumatizing to talk to other people when I was younger. And so what I started doing a couple of years ago is I would start the stupid, scripted, nobody likes them conversations at the checkout counter. Like I'd compliment their shoes or their hair or something. Like I would just make small talk. Everybody hates it, but it's expected. So it's an arena where like, I'm probably never going to see this cashier again. So
might as well practice some of your conversational skills.
Right. And it got to the point where, like, it's just a quick spoiler. Like I'd done this for a couple of years, and I got to the point where I would start to get free stuff at the checkout counter because I would learn how to like make small talk, but make it valuable. Make the cashier laugh. Instead of just saying like, oh, there's no barcode, that means it's free, right? Instead of making that joke for the 1,000th time that day for that poor cashier, I would make some other statement about the previous customer getting angry or something like that where I could like relate to the cashier and be like, hey, I feel your pain. I started to get free stuff. I wasn't stealing or anything, but like at Panera at the drive-thru. Remember this one time?
Yes,
it was like, I love this story. The one time out of 1,000.
He's so proud of himself.
So like I got so good at small talk and good at communication that like I started scraping the ice off the drive-thru window in North Dakota at this Panera drive-thru, and the employees just thought that was the coolest thing ever. They gave us like a big box of cookies, a couple drinks for free, and all we ordered was like a sandwich or something. It was great.
And they just thought it was so sweet that we talked to him and like asked how their day was going and then wiped the snow off the window for him or something like that.
So that's the power of being able to get good feedback about what you're bad at and then working to improve it. So ask somebody who you kind of know that knows you enough but isn't so close to you that they're going to lie to you because they want to protect the relationship or they want to protect the friendship.
Right.
So yeah.
That's the first one. And then second action step, replace negative delusion with a positive one and see what happens.
Yep.
I mean, if you're gonna be delusional about something, at least be delusional in a positive way.
Right. So if you think that you're bad at sales, for example, you just tell yourself before you pick up the phone call, you're like, no, I'm the best salesperson ever.
I am Jordan Belfort right now. I'm amazing.
What? Oh, man.
No, I'm not that good.
No, I was just thinking about how terrible our life would be if you turned into a Jordan Belfort.
I know.
At least the old version.
The old version. I'm sure he's really cool.
Oh, he's great now. I see him on TikTok all the time. He's great.
Yeah. But one way to even like take this action step even further to be more detailed, one thing I have been doing to replace a negative delusion with a positive one is just like changing one word or two words in my language and like how I talk about things. So I've noticed instead of when I'm going through my to-do list for the day, I'll be like, oh, I have to message that realtor back, or, oh, I have to message this client back, like for the third time. Oh, I don't want to do that because they hate me. Like that's how it would go in my head. Be like, oh, I really don't want to do this because they do not like me.
Where does that thought come from?
Because I'm bothering them. Anyways, and so
you've never even talked to them. How do you know that they hate you?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, and so the point is that I change the word instead of saying like, oh, they don't like me. I bring it up one positive notch, at least one positive notch, and instead of saying, oh, they don't like me, I'll say, oh man, like, they don't even really know me, or like, oh, they definitely don't mind me. And then when you get to be a pro at it, you can shift it and say, they like me. Like, she loves me.
They like me. They just don't know it yet.
Yes, they love me. They just don't know it yet.
What's the line from Parks and Rec? What is it? They were like in a bar, and it's Chris Traeger, and he's like, I have friends all around me. I just haven't met them yet.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, if you can get into that positive mindset, like, yeah, that really...
Yeah, so just shifting things in your language. Instead of saying they don't like me, say, oh, they like me. They like me. They definitely don't hate me. They like me. They just haven't met me yet. Kind of a deal. Yeah. Yeah.
So, cool. Mm-hmm. That was a great episode.
Yes.
We're getting longer on these podcasts.
Yes.
I hope everybody else likes it.
Maybe they're like, oh, man, now I have to sit and listen to you for 5 extra minutes.
Well, it's like 15 extra minutes.
15
or 20,
extra
I guess. Sorry for stealing your time.
Anyways, just up the playback speed a little faster. Instead of like 1.5, put it to like
1.3.
Yeah, 2.0, 2 times faster. Whatever.
Do you guys do that? Oh man. Jennie and I watch every YouTube video we watch, every podcast we listen to is at least at 1.5, 2 times speed.
My audiobooks, yeah.
Well, we just have to consume, like, to keep our finger on the pulse of like what's going on in 2 different businesses, like socially on social media.
Right.
We've got to consume so much content.
And so I got to listen to it at like 2 times speed. Otherwise, my entire day is taken up by YouTube videos and podcasts.
Which is what we like doing. And if left to our own devices, we would be able to sit all day and just watch content.
But I can't.
So, right.
Anyways.
Well, thanks for joining us. I hope this episode was somewhat useful. If you got a question or you want to cover a topic on the show or whatever, let us know. Send us an email at letsquitpodcast@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you. And if you're new to the show, thanks so much for listening and sticking it out. We'd love a review. That's the best thing you can do for us.
And sharing the
show. That would be huge for us. Also, if you've been listening to the show for a while and you think, wow, I really like these two. They've taught me some stuff. If you'd like to buy us coffee or take us out to lunch, the best thing you can do is go to patreon.com/jennieanddavis. Pick a tier that works for you, and we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.